The second thing that's very important to a lot of listeners is the updates to the visa bulletin that were released yesterday. So let me give you a heads up what the visa bulletin is. If you're applying for an employment-based or a family-based visa that's in the preference category, so essentially the lines that they are for green cards, except for people that are married to U.S. citizens, parents of U.S. citizens, or minor children of U.S. citizens, there's a line that emerges, a family-based line and an employment-based line. And every month, the Department of State updates where you are on this line. So when you submit the initial application, they give you what's called a priority date, and that's your place in line. And you check this visa bulletin every month to see what visas are being processed that month until your priority date, the date where you submit your application, shows up as to the type of cases they're handling at that time. So right now, if you look at the family-based categories, there's two charts. So to break it down a little more, to make it more complicated, there's a chart when they could actually issue the green card, print it out, but there's a second chart in there that says when they could start accepting paperwork to begin the processing of your case. So the first chart, when they could actually print the green card out, is called the final action date. The second chart, where we could start submitting documents, is called the date of filing chart. Now, the National Visa Center or the Department of State, when you're outside the United States processing, they go by this. So they'll start accepting documents by the date of filing, and then final action days when they could actually issue the green card. But if you're in the United States, whether you could use a date of filing or not, the sooner date that allows you to just submit the paperwork in the meantime and wait out the process in the United States, that changes. And USCIS, the immigration office in the United States, updates that every month on a website on their website, on a page on their website. I know this is getting kind of complicated, and this is why I sometimes need an immigration lawyer to check on this stuff for you. But to give you a heads up, things that move forward in the family-based category, final action dates have moved up by 2 months in most F1 category. These are adult children of U.S. citizens. The F2A, spouses of green card holders and minor children of green card holders are current, so they could start the process and get the green card. F2B, adult married children of U.S. Of green card holders, that came up 2 months. That moved forward 2 months. F3, adult married children of U.S. citizens, moved up a month, and these are old countries. So there's if you're from China, India, Mexico, Philippines, sometimes the timelines are different. You got to visit the chart. I'm saying most countries in general have this kind of situation. And so there's been some movement forward. Now, there's been no movement forward on the employment-based. So that's the interesting thing that popped up for the EB1, 2, and 3 categories. So have a heads up on that. Except actually, when I say there's no movement, there's no different in movement in the date of filing. That stayed the same. But the actual employment-based final action date has moved up. And this is very important, especially for Indian citizens, because they're so backed up. The EB1 category moved up 10 months. So that's really important. It's now June 2016. If you started your EB1 case in June 2016, the green cards are now available. In the EB3 category, we also had a 10-month jump in the general EB3 category, which has seen a big backlog. So if you're in the EB3 category, you know what I'm talking about. You saw that retrogression that happened, that jumped back the cases 3 years. Well, it went back 3 years, just came back 10 months. And so when people ask about timelines, it's really hard to say, because all of a sudden one day the line goes long, it goes back 3 years, and then one day it goes 10 months forward. It's all over the place. Sometimes 3 months forward, sometimes a day or a week forward. It's all over the place. That's why you have to always check these charts, the visa bulletin, to see where your place is. And sometimes the immigration office doesn't notice where you're at, so what happens is they don't even notify you. So it's good to keep an eye out on there and contact them if they're snoozing, if they're not paying attention to your case, and hopefully you have an immigration lawyer to contact with that can help you with that process, especially for these employment-based cases that could take a long time. There's retrogression. There's all this messed up stuff that happens. So that's just some general information I wanted to share. It's a little complicated at times. You got to see what processing you are, what type of case it is, where you are, if you have any inadmissibility issues and the like. But having said that, let's start with the Q&A. Thank you.